Good morning, everybody. Gravity is the result of all matter pushing on all matter. And that's just how mass works also. Everything is pushing on everything else all the time. And so as you move around, then the relative pushing coming from everything is just adjusting, and you don't feel individual pushing from anything. It's just you're in the middle of it's kind of like being in the middle of a crowd, and you just kind of you're going with the movement of the crowd. There's no, there's no individual push. It's a collective push. And we have this collective push from all of matter, and there's just more push coming in from space, because space is infinite. And although gravity isn't infinite, it's extremely long range, and that's why in long range scenarios you've got gravity becomes the most powerful thing. But today I've been thinking more about the actual photons and the neutrinos and how they work, and how neutrinos and photons are the same thing. It's just that neutrinos have got additional spin around their axis of travel. Photons have not much spin around their axis of travel, but neutrinos, in order to have spin around their axis of travel and for it to be symmetrical, the way it works out is that a neutrino has to have 4 times the frequency around the axis of travel as its nominal frequency. So you've got this spin around the axis of travel, a photon that's got spin around the axis of travel. And stars like our sun are putting out left-hand neutrinos. And when supersymmetry looks at all of the various particles and forces and everything, they find symmetrical opposites for pretty much everything except left-handed neutrinos. They can't find a right-handed neutrino. And that's why, the reason for that is because the whole symmetry has to take place over 2 layers of the fractal, because each fractal reverses its spins. And so each fractal has got this neutrino, which is either left-handed or right-handed. Hang on, little Ruby. So yeah, that's basically what I'm looking at right now is the nature of these neutrinos as it relates to the photon. And the photons don't have a spin 1. They are spin 1, but their spin 1 is spin 1 over 1. They're spinning around 2 axes in order to travel. There's no way that you can get any travel spinning around 1 axis. A sine wave doesn't go anywhere. A sine wave has no direction. A sine wave is something going around in a circle as you pull a background by at a steady rate, or as you pull it along at a steady rate. But the sine wave itself has no direction. It's just going in circles. You have to have a rotation around a second axis in order to make that wave move. And when you rotate it around the second axis at the same rate as you rotate it around the first axis, well then you separate the movement from the center of the rotation. and the wave moves. You have a separation and the wave moves. And that's what that's what causes the wave to move, is this separation that you create by rotating it around the second axis at the same rate as around the first axis. So these sine waves that they show you all, they don't move. None of these symmetrical waves move. In order for a wave to move, it has to be asymmetrical. It has to be, a photon is 1 over 1. A photon is not spin 1. A photon is spin 1 over 1. Anyway, Ruby wants out. Have a good day, you guys.